It's 6 p.m. in Douala, economic capital of Cameroon. You're watching the 6 p.m. newscast on Spectrum Television. Coming up in this newscast, political actors in Douala have reacted to the President of the Republic's decision in postponing the New Year's wishes this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. In their opinion, the decision is inarticulate. Catherine Cornet captures these reactions in this newscast. Also in this news, our reporter Oni Ladonet has been on the scene of the rehabilitation works ongoing at the heavy access road of Bonabasem in the Douala 1 municipality. She will be giving us details of the traffic situation with the ongoing works in this news. Those were our top stories. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining in on the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Spectrum Television. We take on this nomination that just got into our newsroom in a bit. His Lordship Mia Besu Bibi, Auxiliary Bishop of Bamenda, has been appointed as the new Apostolic Administrator of Buea. His nomination comes after Pope Francis accepted the resignation of His Lordship Emmanuel Bushu. His appointment to one of the key dioceses comes at a time when the Catholic Church has been affected as fighting continues. Attacks from schools to the abduction of fathers and bishops have been recurrent. Some political actors in the economic capital have reacted to President Paul Biya's decision in postponing the New Year wishes this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Catherine Cornet captures some of their point of view in this report.
From the diplomatic corps and the national dignitaries, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, some political actors in the economic capital, Douala, have described it as being uncomprehending.
The first thing is you don't comment the decision of the head of state. I think he is in his prerogative to cancel the New Year wishes. But I think if I have something to say, that probably might help the country subsequently if the pandemic continues, maybe to next year. It will be that the presidency has enough space outside, that is the lawn. It could take place there. The lawn can host 20,000 people.
Yes, it is difficult to have or make an analysis about the question you just posed because it's uncomprehending that New Year wishes to the head of state are being postponed as a result of COVID-19, and in the same time we are gearing towards the holding of the Chan in January 18. Someone is left to wonder that how come on the other one side the excuse for not giving New Year wishes to President Paul Biya is as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, and on the other side we are instantly being actively prepared to host the Chan in 2021. So to me, I think we should look at the development of the coronavirus and its impact on our society very critically.
He added that the excuse might either be to siphon public funds.
Not being a scientist or a medical doctor, I think we should be looking for avenues on how to live with this disease. It should not just be a simple excuse that because of the pandemic we are postponing New Year wishes to the head of state. Either there is a reason behind it, or it's another way maybe to siphon public funds, because I remember that during the last state budget of 2000 the budget that was scheduled for 2021, there was an increase on the budget allocated for public ceremonies and feasts. How come that now it is being postponed and we are not having any feedback as to the budget that was allocated? Or we could as well even use maybe video conferences as it's been done in other countries. So I think if we are organizing the Chan in 2021, that is 16th of January, we should, there is still the COVID pandemic, which is still a current event, and I don't understand or know how the administration of that football tournament are doing to make sure that the event is being entertained in Cameroon hitch free. I think it's difficult. You see, I have difficulty in trying to make an analysis because I don't understand how, on the other side, the coronavirus pandemic is given to be an excuse, whereas on the other side, it's being embraced.
In a communique signed by Samuel Vundo, Director of Civil Cabinet at the Presidency, the decision is to prevent the spread of coronavirus pandemic.
Families of victims of the October 24 school attack in Kumba have once again received financial assistance from Cameroonians living in China and K-Towners in the diaspora. The Kumba City Mayor, Dieudonné Gregory Miwano, chaired the handing over ceremony. Catherine Kone.
In a ceremony held by the Kumba City Mayor, the families of children gruesomely killed on October 24, 2020 in Kumba received financial assistance of about 3.5 million francs CFA from K-Towners in the diaspora.
He's a very satisfied man. I begin with the word satisfaction, like you said. He's a very satisfied man, not because, he has done anything, but most especially because the parents who have always had tears upon their eyes flowing down, that those parents who lost their children, the parents who are actually up till today with their suffering children, suffering in pain, life endangered, that these same parents could have a smile on their faces today, that they could smile, that they could laugh, that we could chat together, we could eat together, we could share together, we could drink together, and that we could receive the gifts, the donations from the K-Towners International in the United States of America. We could receive gifts from the Cameroonian community of Guangdong, China, from our brothers and sisters who are far away, thousands of kilometers, tens of thousands of kilometers away from Cameroon, but who still have the heart for Kumba, and not only Kumba, but Cameroon as a whole, and who think about our situation that we have here, and most especially the situation of the 24th of October 2020, which is the year past.
The money was handed over to them in order to enable them carry on with life amidst the hardship they are facing.
So after the Kumba massacre, which occurred on the 24th of October 2020, the association thought it wise to see how they can raise funds to assist the injured families, that the survivors, and the deceased families.
It should be recalled that this is not the first time these families are receiving financial aids from locals in Kumba and those residing abroad.
The United States Senate has urged the government of Cameroon and separatist fighters to drop their arms and come to a reasonable table to find common grounds for peace and the return to normalcy in the two regions. Josephine Binzi puts together some of the reactions of political actors in Douala.
Functioning on democratic principles and values, the U.S. Senate committee has on Saturday, in one of its resolutions, called on ceasefire between government forces and separatist fighters in the northwest and southwest regions. A resolution well received by some political actors who hold the upper chambers of the U.S. Congress in terms of legislative powers in high esteem.
End to the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest. So on that issue, in that vein, I think everybody shares, all of us share the wish and the desire that the armed conflict should end. The question is, how does it end? There are people in the U.S., among which are some of our compatriots in the diaspora in the U.S., who spend their energy going about lobbying congressmen, meaning senators and members of the House of Representatives, trying to lobby them to take resolutions against the common. But what they fail to understand is that the U.S. government, and particularly the U.S. Senate, function on the basis of democratic principles.
Civil society advocate Barrister Agbon Kongo holds the assertion that though a ceasefire may be difficult due to ineffective leadership from separatist movement, there is still hope at the end of the tunnel.
Well, the thing is that it's difficult, but it's not impossible, you know. Yeah, difficult because there is infighting in the separatist movement, but equally also, I think 2021, the the North State actors would have to sit down and look at themselves in the mirror and try to see how they can re-strategize and reorganize. I think that both parties would realize that they should put the interests of the people first. And if they do that, then it will not be about them, it will be about the people.
Tracking down major catalysts in the diaspora to the violence in the country should be a key tactic.
Certain sanctions for those who are perpetrating these heinous crimes, for those who are inciting violence and hate in the population, meaning that they should have travel bans for some of the people in government. Equally, those also in the diaspora who are inciting violence. And nothing stops for a special type like what happened in New to target some of these war criminals to justice on both sides of the aisle.
With the U.S. Senate being aware that Cameroon is a growing democratic country, the Northwest and Southwest regions are still recognized as integral parts of the country. Though the head of state in his Republican magnanimity has convened a major national dialogue, the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest regions, and the National Disarmament DDR centers, much more is expected of him by his diplomatic partners, the U.S., as they think negotiations and ceasefire is the best option for the crisis.
Joseph Betty Asomo, Minister of Defense, has ended a traditional end-of-year security meeting in Gaoundéré, where new strategies are to be improved and last year's defects spelled out for security. We remain with you, Josephine Binze.
Following the traditional end-of-year security meetings to discuss the country's military prowess, tactics and fallouts, the Minister of Defense at the Presidency, Joseph Betty Asomo, just chaired the last security meeting on December 31, 2020. He was received by the governor of the Adamawa region, Kildadi Tagike Buka, and other military officials. With numerous attacks by rebels from the Central African Republic, as well as uncountable kidnappings, necessitated the huge presence of defense and security forces in that area. The defense minister at the governor's office urged the 33 Infantry Military Battalion to handle all cases with care and implore professionalism, hard work and patriotism in all their dealings. The security meeting ended with the awarding of epaulets to deserving and hard-working officials.
For the past few weeks, rehabilitation works have been ongoing at the heavy access road at Bonabasem in the Douala 1 subdivision. This rehabilitation works is causing a lot of traffic as road users have been urged to use just one side of the road. Our reporter Oni Ladonet was at the scene. Her report.
With rehabilitation work currently going on at Latsulu Bonabasem in the Douala 1 municipality, commercial bike riders as well as taxis are being forced to make use of the left side of this road stretch. With just one side of the road available, traffic congestion is the order of the day. Businesses around this area are finding it hard to function properly, especially since this rehabilitation work started without any prior notice.
Everything is slow. Customers are no more coming in as they used to because there is traffic. Traffic congestion made them to cross. Those that even stop to buy things, as they come down like that with their cars, they cannot park, so they will continue. I've been working, they accelerated the work since last week, and it's really moving fast. So we hope that before the end of this month, everything will be finished.
According to workers met on ground, work may likely last for another 3 weeks.
And now we take on our foreign page with a VOA.
Supporters of Julian Assange celebrated outside the London court as the judge ruled that he cannot be extradited to the United States.
Today's victory is the first step towards justice in this case.
The British judge concluded that Assange would have a fair trial at the US District Court in Alexandria, Virginia, and that he should answer the charges. But she ruled that Assange suffers from severe depression, and the conditions in which he would be jailed in almost solitary confinement meant that the United States prison system could not prevent him taking his own life.
This is an important win and a ruling that should be celebrated. But let's not forget that she also made some very problematic findings on the free speech aspects of this case.
Assange's lawyers argue the charges are politically motivated and that extradition would pose a threat to journalism, which the United States denies. Press freedom campaigners welcome the ruling. In 2010 and 2011, Assange oversaw the publication by WikiLeaks of tens of thousands of diplomatic cables and military reports relating to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Assange says the leak exposed abuses by the US military, including this video purportedly showing the killing of Iraqi civilians. The US accuses Assange of hacking classified material that endangered national security and revealed the identity of US informants, which put their lives at risk. The British judge ruled that concerns over Assange's welfare trumped the US charges.
This is the third time this has happened with the United States trying to extradite people from the UK, and there have been cases where it has been closely fought for terrorism defendants as well.
The United States has appealed the ruling. It is possible that Assange could face prosecution in Britain.
I wouldn't rule out the United States and the UK cooperating to doing something like that, because it is the kind of thing they do on national security cases. These charges argued that Assange revealed coalition informant identities, not just US informant identities, which would be understood to include British informants.
Assange sought refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in London in 2012 after facing accusations of rape in Sweden, a case that has since been dropped. He stayed there for 7 years until Ecuador allowed British police to arrest him in April 2019. He was then jailed for 50 weeks for breaching bail. For now, Assange is back in a London prison, pending a bail application in the coming days. The appeal process against the ruling could take several months or more. Henry Ridgewell for VOA News, London.
We now talk sports. In less than 2 weeks to the kickoff of the African Nations Competition Championship, the Intermediate Lions team has plunged its supporters into doubt with a record of 1 defeat and 2 draws at the end of its 3 matches. Yesterday was an opportunity to make a difference, but unfortunately, they bowed to this team. O'Neil Adunet gives us more details.
The Menace of Niger have trashed Cameroon's Intermediate Lions 2-1 in the second day of the pre-Chan friendly in Yaoundé. First half goals from Musa Adamu Issa and Ibrahim Jibrila were enough to knock out the boys of Mateng Pili, despite a consolation goal from second half substitute Jacques Zoua. Coach Mateng Tungu Pili made 6 changes to the starting 11 that played against Uganda on the 1st of January 2021. Just 5 players, Yankam Basil, Onana Fabrice, Serge Andulu, Ako Asomo, and Alfred Meyon, who started against Uganda, were retained in the starting 11 against their Niger counterparts. However, these changes couldn't create a difference in front of a more confident and pushful Niger side, who took just the first 5 minutes into the game to impose their presence. As it stands, the Intermediate Lions have no victory yet, as they had an all-tie game against Uganda in their first match. The boys of Mateng Pili will take on Zambia in their next game come January 7.
Zambia, on her part, hasn't secured any victory as they played a 3-tie against Niger in their first game and lost 2 to Uganda in their second match. The match between the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon and the Chipolopolo of Zambia promises to be fierce as each team comes with the hunger of securing at least a victory.
That's the package we put together for you tonight. Thanks for watching. More news will be yours in the French language at 8 p.m. with Orion Duncan. With me, it's good night.